Peace and love to you, wide world out there. Welcome back to the Xprsn of Love podcast. It is your host, Soul Expression indeed. And welcome back to Become Your Own Breakthrough. Now, this episode right here that you have clicked on is a little different because I'm not talking about something negative that we can break through. I am talking about something that I really want to open a conversation about. Now, that's not to say that I didn't really want to open a conversation about my other videos that I call a conversation, but I do want to emphasize that this episode of Become Your Own Breakthrough, I really want to see you all in the comments. I really want to reply to some comments and to be there, to be in the conversation with you, talking about this here topic, which obviously, if you saw the thumbnail and the title of the video, you know, is dealing with the question, is unconditional love virtuous? And what I really mean is unconditional love always virtuous, right? Should it always be given? Should it be what we strive to give to everyone and everything? And if we should, what does that look like? Because I'm not sure if it's virtuous to always be kind. I know it's not virtuous to always be nice. I know that's not virtuous. But I wonder even if it's virtuous to just always be kind, no matter what, to whomever. I know some people can do this. I don't want to make it seem like it's an impossibility for the human mind or the human being. I know some people who are of extremely high levels of maturity and wisdom can achieve always being kind, right? Even if they're not necessarily nice. But at the same time, is it really virtuous to, no matter what someone treats you like, to be unconditionally loving to them? And what it makes me think about, firstly, of course, is the relationship that I have with my wife. My relationship is very loving, extremely loving, in fact. I think we went about 4 years straight with absolutely no arguments whatsoever. And I hadn't had a relationship like that before. And not only was there no arguments because she's not a very confrontational person, but also there was no arguments because we were practicing speaking to each other, holding each other in a certain respect, right? Holding each other in a certain regard. And we were giving each other unconditional love. And I think in that kind of situation, unconditional love is virtuous. But she is a rare breed. And I have known a few people who my gut says do not deserve my unconditional love. Right? It's an interesting contemplation, because when you're around somebody who is, let's say, using you for your time and energy, or manipulating you into furthering their agenda that they're not forthcoming about, right? Deceiving you, or mooching off of your success or your, what little you do have because they have, excuse me, less than you do, and they um, are choosing not to deal with their own inadequacy, but instead just mooch off of whoever they can. Um, or a bunch of scenarios, right? I mean, obviously there's an infinite amount of ways that human beings can do other human beings wrong. And I know that in a lot of those cases, it it is the right thing to do to at least remain kind, right? You don't have to. It's not about being nice, but showing a level of self-regulation, and that means being kind. So not not jumping to embarrassing them or interacting with them in a way that just exacerbates the emotions within them, causing the negative behavior. Being kind. And even though I know that in most of the cases, most of the time, kindness is virtuous, there's also something to be said and contemplated about people who show no improvement in the pattern, who have the opportunity to improve on the pattern. And I hope that makes sense the way that I worded it. There are examples of people in this world that almost make it a job to deceive, manipulate, um, take advantage of, and be unloving to people who love them, and to people who show them love, and to just the world around them. There are people like that. There are a few people in everybody's life that are like that. And your heart says just love them unconditionally, right? If you're a generally nice person, generally and genuinely nice person, your heart's going to say, practice unconditional love with everybody. And I almost don't even want to say anything against that, because that feels good. But what feels good is not always the right answer. And so my contemplation here is, obviously not should you, bring violence against these people, or should you wish them harm. But the contemplation simply is, are you wrong for showing them unconditional love? Because what is love? Right? This is the Expression of Love podcast. We should be able to give some sort of answer to this question. I view love as the coming together of pure joy and true understanding. Pure joy is not just a feeling, it's a feeling and a choice. So sometimes the feeling is not going to be there, but you will choose. And sometimes the choice is not going to be there, but you will feel pure joy. And then true understanding is understanding like beneath the surface and beyond what you're able to put in words. And when those two things come together, true understanding and pure joy, beyond just the feeling of joy, you get love. Something is felt, and something more importantly is known, that we call love. This is my personal definition. It doesn't have to be yours. But there is no joy in relationship with that kind of pattern. Again, not that kind of person, because everybody can improve as long as you have breath. Within reason. As long as you're breathing, as long as you're here, you can change. But that kind of pattern, it's like they suck they suck out the opportunity for there to be any true understanding, unless you just are talking about the understanding of the toxicity of this pattern. And there's no room, they suck out the room for pure joy as well, because you don't feel joy around them. You don't feel joy when you think about them. You don't feel joy when you have to interact with them because they're around and you got to deal with them for a little bit. And I wonder, is it better to turn something else on around people who are engaged in this type of pattern? To, instead of turning on, let me force myself to love this person, turning on a bit of resistance to what they do. If instead of just trying to practice unconditional love, love everybody, love everything they do, or give love no matter how badly they treat you, is sometimes, right? And this is a wondering. I'm not calling anybody to it, but I'm wondering if it would be more beneficial, more wise to resist their bullshit. If wisdom means sometimes putting love aside for something that you may not know what it is. You may not have a word like love to call it, but you know that they don't deserve your love in this moment, and that it's going to take a lot for them to prove to you that they suddenly do deserve your love, because it's just, the pattern is just that real. What's the opportunity here, right? If in fact unconditional love is not automatically virtuous, and it's more so only virtuous when there is at least some reciprocity to it, then what is the opportunity? What do we or can we gain by realizing and acknowledging the truth that unconditional love is just a tool that we can use and that we can put down when necessary? Well, I think we have an opportunity to become more godly. The most important point that this contemplation has brought me to is the fact that God judges. And there are a lot of people in the spiritual community that read tarot cards and do yoga and do ceremonies and things like that, that don't like to hear the words, God judges you. But God judges you. And not even on your theology or your philosophy or your belief system. I don't think God cares if you follow some sort of exclusive belief system. But what you are judged on is your behavior, your inner behavior and your outer behavior. The fact that God judges you is the reason you judge yourself. We should be improving on our ability to discern and judge whether or not the person that I'm dealing with, or the person that is in relationship with me in some capacity, not necessarily only romantic relationship, but friendship, workplace relationship, if this person deserves my unconditional love. And that discernment, that judgment, does not only have to be on a scale of absolutes, right? Does not have to be on yes or no with no gray area kind of scale. But to be able to know which way the needle is tilting on your yes or no scale. And if it tilts towards no, then you should be able to confidently make the decision that I will not give this person who is exhibiting this negative, toxic pattern my unconditional love, and feel absolutely no guilt for it. I just wanted to open this conversation and say, hey, is it a virtue to just give unconditional love to everybody, to strive to give unconditional love to everybody in your life? Or is it more virtuous to give it to the deserving, even though you don't have a perfect mind and can't, automatically know and be accurate with your judgment of who is deserving. There are some people who are probably obviously not. And with the way that I used to think, I would feel guilty for not wanting to try and give them unconditional love anyway, but not anymore. And so, in a way, what I'm saying is, it's time to take your life back and become your own breakthrough. I hope that this conversation makes sense and was a fun little deep dive into the intricacies of people that have toxic patterns around you and around myself. If you like and want to respond to, or dislike and want to argue with any of the points that I made in this video, feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to the Expression of Love podcast. It is your host, Soul Expression, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
Expressions of